They say a man's beard is like a lion's mane. So I grew a beard, and I realized that people began to treat me a little bit differently when I was walking around doing my normal things that I do as a human being, and it was quite interesting. So I thought I would make a video about it. So here we go. So I know that my beard right now, it's untamed. It's not something that's like nicely cut or anything like that. It looks kind of like a goat's beard. If you look real close, it's just that scraggly goat hair. I took a photo of a goat about 4 years ago. I'll put it up here right now. It was a nice goat. It would chase around all these goats on the island. It was pretty cool, actually. But so the thing is I know that obviously I don't think this looks that attractive in my point of view, but I started to think about society and hair, facial hair, and I started to think to myself, why is it that people are so kind of judgmental in a sense of people who have like untrimmed beards like what I have right now? And, there's many good looking men with good beards. They've shaped them beautifully. And some people like beards. Some people think that beards are kind of like a fetish. They love beards. They love people with beards. And, but what I found is when I was going about my days, I got some strange reactions from people. And I actually had this one woman. She was probably in about her mid-50s. I walked into the shop and she kind of looked at me like this. She was like, "Oh, look at that man with a beard." But she didn't say anything, obviously. But she just had that look like she was saying that, like she balled up her face, like giving me those eyes, And, I thought to myself, well, I've just been busy, really. And that's why I decided, and I thought, okay, my beard has grown longer than it ever has been before, so I'll just keep going and see what kind of, how I like it. And, it's a bit patchy, I didn't choose to shave this. This is just genetics. Biology did this to me, so I don't know. I can't really get that full coverage beard over here, so that's just what it looks like. But I thought to myself, this is weird, the reactions I'm getting. And actually, this alternative kind of chick, she was wearing like a black shirt, and she had, she kind of looked alternative, like she was in that kind of subgenre. Maybe she listened to some bands or something like that. She kind of dug it. She looked at me, and she actually had a boyfriend, I think. So I don't know how kind of legit that is. It's not very good, but she looked over at me and she kind of liked what I looked like. And I don't know. I don't know if the beard symbolizes some type of allegiance to a certain subgroup or something like that. I'm like a peacock. I gotta fan my feathers. So it's kind of interesting thinking about how different people think about facial hair. And I thought about it and I thought I couldn't go for a job interview right now. If I went for a job interview, I would just be kind of seen as a weirdo, really. They would think, why is this guy coming to a job interview with hair like that? And you might immediately say, well, of course, Jared, look at you, you look like a pirate. Ah! And yes, it's true, I do look a bit like a pirate because it's unkept, but you have to think about it. These are cultural ideas. This is natural. This is just as natural as my earlobes are. I wouldn't go into a job interview and they'd say, oh, have you made sure to cut a piece of your ear off? No, that wouldn't be right. And so it's like we say, okay, you can't judge a person on, their eye color, on how long their earlobes are, but you can judge a person on how long their hair is. And I think that's interesting. Now, I understand that because I grew up in the culture that we live in and that we share. And like I said, even I think this beard looks like a goat's beard. I've been taking too much horny goat weed. Oh, my horny goat weed. Very good goat's beard. That's what I grow right now. And this is how I do it. This is how real men do it. Goat weed for goat's beard. That's how we do it. Yes.
Yes.
It's weird, but the thing is, if you really think about it, this is just natural. And a lot of men give shit to women who like to grow their armpit hair out. I personally like women with armpit hair that's long. I'm kind of into it. I know it's a bit weird, fair enough, whatever. But I kind of like that. It feels more natural to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's a little fetish I have. I don't know. But the thing is this, I remember when I was 14 years old. No, I was 15, right? Because you have to be 15, I think, to get your first job. Yeah, 15 years old. I got my first job, and it was at Crazy Clark's, this kind of retail store. And the manager one day told me to shave. I only had like a little bit of bum fluff. She got me this like $1 razor, like it only had one blade on it. It was horrible. And she made me shave in the back of the retail store before I would go out and actually complete my shift for the day. So I shaved my face. It cut up my face because I hadn't really ever shaved before at that age, like not properly. And it was just this cheap ass razor, and she forced me to do it in this dinky, like rusted sink at the back. And so thinking back on things like that, I think what would make you go, okay, it wasn't like I had a big beard like this. It was just like a little bit of hair. And it's like, okay, you're going to, have this young kid cut up his face and be humiliated just because he has a little bit of hair. And I think that that's kind of ridiculous in a sense. And if you think about it, why, if you're doing a job that has nothing to do with your facial hair, why should it matter? It shouldn't matter at all. But the thing is, we live in this society where it does matter. And I get it. You want to look professional. Again, I know I look like a goat and I don't look that professional right now. But the idea of professional, the idea of, what looks good and what doesn't look good, partly is kind of like, biases of our culture. If I grew up in the Viking age, in the Viking era, I'd be champion. This man is a champion. Give this guy an axe. Let's run out and conquer a village. You see what I mean? So it's this, it's just, all I'm doing is I'm questioning the assumptions in our society. That's all I'm kind of doing with growing a beard. And it's interesting. I had, how people react to you differently when you go out and do these things. So I thought I'd look up why, like evolutionarily speaking, why would people react this way to beards? Because, wouldn't men, if we like existed, let's say 10,000 years ago, maybe even 50,000 years ago, right? Human beings, they had hair, right? Maybe they only lived to age 30, so they were dying earlier. But still, from teenager to age 30, it'd still grow a pretty gnarly beard over that time. It's not like they had scissors or they had shavers. They could clean shave their face. They probably had a rock, and maybe they beat the crap out of their beard and cut some of the beard off with a rock. I don't know. But it's kind of strange, like you think throughout evolutionary history, what was the deal with the beard? So I looked it up, and I found this article called "Why Do Men Have Beards? An Inquiry from an Evolutionary Biology Perspective." And I thought it was quite interesting, right? And the question was, do beards make men more attractive? And apparently they don't make men more attractive. Apparently women aren't as attracted to men with gnarly beards, but it did vary. Like some women were and some women weren't, and it actually depended on the study and the time, the era that the study was conducted in, right? But there's some interesting questions around, evolution, right? Especially sexual selection, right? What is the deal here though? Like, why do we have beards? And is it that it actually enables us to attract mates? It doesn't seem like that is the case, but it's, it says it here. Women judged faces with heavy stubble as most attractive, and heavy beards, light stubble, and clean-shaven faces as similarly less attractive. right? However, a 1996 study reached the opposite conclusion, finding that men with facial hair were perceived as more aggressive, less appeasing, less attractive, older, and lower on social maturity than clean-shaven faces. So basically, this is saying it changes with society. Whatever's going on in society kind of changes how men are seen. Nonetheless, it has something to do with your attractiveness, so it's either you're more attractive or less attractive. And then there's other research that in times when beards are fashionable, being clean-shaven is more attractive, while if there are many clean-shaven men, beards become attractive simply by contrast. So there's something kind of about being different, standing out from the herd, standing out from the pack, that makes you look better or not, in a sense, because you stand out as, oh, this guy's different, this guy's gutsy, he's ballsy because he's got a big fat pirate beard that looks like a goat. So beards as a signal of dominance for other men rather than attraction cue for women. So that is interesting, that it's not about, it might not be about attracting women. Women might not care about your beard, but it might be that you can scare other men away because you have a gnarly beard. And actually that lines up with my experience. When I would walk around with my friends who were girls, the men would look at me and go, what? What's going on here? And also I was lining up somewhere and this middle-aged man who, looks pretty disagreeable to me, he, for the first time in my life, let me go in front of him in the line, right? And I think it was because I had a beard. I mean, all these things are just subjective intuitions I have about what was going on. But nonetheless, it seemed like my beard was kind of made me look more aggressive, especially to men. That's how I felt in general. I also felt like I scared younger women. They don't know how to handle this big beard of mine. So I got the sense that they felt that I was more aggressive or that I was impatient or something like that. But these are just my intuitions again, so take it with a grain of salt, but that's how I felt when I was walking around. I definitely did not feel like I got any real, nice attention for having this beard, let's say that. So the idea here is that studies suggest that men with beards are perceived as older, stronger, and more aggressive than those that are clear shaven. All right, and my personal experience, I think that is true. One interesting study that assessed British facial hairstyles between 1842 and 1971 found that beards and moustaches became more fashionable during times when there was a great proportion of single men competing for fewer women. So it seems as if there's a lot of competition, men start beefing up their beard because they want to compete with the other men around. That seems to be what is happening, which I think is quite interesting. That's not why I did it, but it was an interesting side effect. So beards to soften the punch. This is another idea that we kind of, throughout evolution, we developed these beards so that we could handle blows to the face. Apparently some study down here shows that, here it is, that this fake beard, because they couldn't really punch someone in the face because that's not ethical. So then they make kind of like another, example of a beard that would represent it. And they got a skull and some kind of sheepskin or something like that, sheep wool or something. And apparently the bearded example absorbed 37% more energy than hairless models. So this is kind of meant to absorb the punch of, another person trying to hit me. And it kind of makes sense because I guess this area on the neck is pretty weak in a sense, and you want to protect your neck, whereas the bones in the jaw, the bones on the face here are a lot more, they protect the insides more, whereas this is just like kind of mushy, so maybe having this goat's beard here would help me out if I got into a fight. Alright? So, I don't know. According to this article, it's highly unlikely that beards are some fluke of evolution. You know, well, okay, well, we have them, so fair enough. Instead, they're likely the result of evolutionary pressure meant to enforce dominance hierarchies. Oh, yeah. No. Dominance, baby. No. Perhaps enabling some men to intimidate competitors for mates. Alright? They may also aid in physical confrontations with other men by softening the impact of blunt force. So, in the end, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for you, there is limited evidence that beards make men more attractive. So there you go, there you have it. And there's some arguments in the comment section that I thought were interesting. It's always interesting to read comments because you always get different perspective, different ideas. And I always read the comments, especially of book reviews and things. You get really deep in there. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with this video. Keep on track. So radio has this idea that basically it's nothing to do with what was in the article. It's basically about the cold. So in certain regions, geographically, where it was quite hot, those men tended not to grow beards, something like that. And that the beard actually keeps this part nice and warm during winter, or nice and cool during the summer. So I don't know. Maybe that's another idea of why we grew beards. So look, I'm not sure. I don't really know. Leave your best, favorite theory down below. But hey, I want to ask you guys. See, because like I said, I think this looks like a goat's beard. So I'm willing to shave. I'm someone who always changes up what I look like all the time. So I kind of want to change my style right now. So, but I want to ask you, what do you think? Do you think I should go for the Abraham Lincoln look, where Abe kind of left this outside here and shaved the middle part? There's Abraham Lincoln, so there's that. Or should I go for the Nietzsche look? Nietzsche had a gnarly as moustache, but he shaved everything else. Or should I go for the Karl Marx look, and I just keep pumping it out, like a big Santa Claus kind of thing, like a dirty Santa, So you tell me, who should I be? Should I be Karl Marx, Abraham Lincoln, or Friedrich Nietzsche? So leave the comment below and tell me what you think I should the facial hair I should try out next. So look, that's it, guys. I'm going to leave you with that. And yeah, so you tell me what you think about facial hair in society. Do you think it's right that you can be judged for doing a job that has nothing to do with your hair? Do you think that people have particular biases, or do you think that it's a good thing that you shave? It's a good thing, not a bad thing. You know what I mean? So you tell me, and I'll see you in the next video.